Hey everyone, welcome back to Rally Caps, a podcast for the creative entrepreneur building a business for the long haul.
Today, we're joined by not one, but two amazing guests, Niles Jeran and Caleb Babcock. These two can be considered some of the most OG creators on the entirety of YouTube. They've made hundreds of videos for the company Moment and collaborated with some of the biggest names in the creator space today. 2020 rebirthed their passion for running, and they subsequently started one of the hottest pods with the hottest bods on the planet. Dad Strides is what it's called for those who want to get those tired legs moving again. They're now the coolest dads, with Niles overseeing two and Caleb joining the club just over a week ago with his first. Now that they've been training for months, they're running sub 5-minute miles, surfing, and creating with the biggest names out there, and growing Moment to new heights. The company they started, just the two of them.
Is that all correct, guys?
Yeah, I think so. I think everything but running a sub 5-minute mile. Like, we definitely started Moment too.
Yeah. Like, it's more realistic that I'm a creative entrepreneur who started a really big company than me running a sub 5-minute mile. I don't think I'll ever run a sub 5-minute mile, dude. Like, my legs are way too tired to do that.
Hey, we should try downhill, Niles. We should maybe a year a downhill mile, get you sub 5. That'd be sick.
Oh, yeah.
But does it count? It's like,
it's a mile.
You dropped 40 feet of elevation.
Counts in the dad world for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. The trick to running faster is just running downhill, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us on the pod, though. We really appreciate the invite, which was the most epic invitation I've ever got to probably anything, really.
Yes.
We just got a text message from a video from Steven and Eric. It was super fun.
Just basically trolling us. But at first I was like, wait, this is so good. And I didn't know how to respond. So then me and Caleb were just texting on the side, like, dude, you see the video? Like, yeah, bro, so funny. Like, what the heck? And then finally we responded like, yeah, we'll be on it.
Yeah, they put more effort into that little invitation video than we have into our whole podcast. So that's sick.
Yeah, seriously, it looks so good. Yeah,
Okay,
and the lingo, spot on.
Yeah. But you guys, I feel like you're really easy to impersonate because you have such fun personalities. And but I don't even know where you guys grew up. Did you grow up in the areas where you're living right now?
I did. Yeah, I grew up in Seattle area, just north of Seattle, about 45 minutes. And then I moved to Seattle for a few years. And now my wife and I live kind of back up closer, about an hour from the city.
Okay.
And then I was born in Kansas City, Missouri, but kind of grew up all over the place. So my mom was always in California. Dad was always in Missouri. Dad's like an old ski bum, so it wants to leave every winter to go ski. So I kind of grew up very, very transient. So right now I live in San Clemente, California, which is where my wife was born and raised. And Caleb and I, at the beginning of our, incredible, amazing friendship was when me and my wife got married and we moved to Seattle. And then that was we got married 2017. And then the day I started at Moment was like a week after we got married. So it's like I'll always be married as long as I've been at Moment. So
Niles will always remember that I wasn't invited to the wedding.
It's true. It's true.
No, I didn't even know you. That it's just
exactly,
so funny.
No.
Yeah.
We went and shot this little skate video, which looking back on it is very funny because I didn't know Caleb was into skateboarding, but we shot it with a buddy of mine and then it's kind of like, cool, dude, I'm gonna go get married. Like, see ya. And he was like, all right, cool, see ya. And then little did I know, 4 or 5 years later, we're just buddies.
Coworkers turned into BFFs, dude.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same for Steven and I. I mean, I attended his wedding because he only got married 2 years ago, and we knew each other then. But same with all of my friends in the studio. Like, none of them came to my wedding, but they're my best friends now. It feels like that's a common thread with a lot of creative folks that start getting a community where they live then. And yeah, it's just weird to think. But coming back to the whole Moment thing, I think a lot of people are very tricked into believing that you guys started it. Or do you get that a lot? Do people say that to you?
We did get it a lot. Early on, beginning days, 2017, 2018, it was the amount of messages were I can't wait to start a company one day like Caleb and Niles. Me and Caleb would just laugh. We were just we're the least qualified people in the entire company to start a company. We're just running around making videos, being filmmakers, but somehow
I think
came off that way.
it was kind of cool though. It was essentially like our CEO Mark Barros is like, no, he's like a pure entrepreneur, works nonstop, and Moment is like, there's like over 40 employees. There's, I mean, so many logistics, supply chains things, Excel spreadsheets for years that I could never even open up without getting stressed out. And like what goes on behind the scenes with like the developers doing their thing and just making sure products get to customers and the support team.
And
It's
making
insane.
products.
But the props to him was that like when we kind of first started there, he gave us full creative control about like doing YouTube. He's like, just make it like how you would want. He wasn't like looking over our shoulders all the time. So I feel like that's what helped kind of make it feel more like ours, because we would literally just go skate, drink coffee, test out our products, and also like just talk about cameras and hang out. And really there wasn't like a lot of there was never like a red tape to get through to get something approved. We just started making videos.
Process. Yeah,
No.
there was no approval process, and I didn't even know what being a YouTuber was. Like, I didn't.
Oh,
like,
yeah, you didn't.
When it was like, oh, we're gonna go vlog, I'm like, oh, that weird thing that only Casey Neistat does that I've never actually watched. Like, that's weird, you know. And then all of a sudden, Caleb's like, no, go look at these like old crusty vlogs that I used to do. And I'm like, dude, this is like 29 minutes of you and Ariana like driving. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Because coming from my background, it was like just not really about vlogging or like recording yourself. So I mean, so Caleb literally taught me how to point the camera at myself and talk comfortably. And there was definitely some growing
man.
pains. There's
Should
definitely
find some of that early footage of you like being super awkward. Then once Niles it like clicked and he's like, oh, I get this, and then he can just be himself. So I let him blossom to who he is today.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, in that space, like I definitely had no idea what I was doing, did not understand it at all. So there was some learning there for sure, because it sounds so simple to like anyone. It's like, oh, you just like record videos of yourself and put them on the internet, but to make them entertaining and be engaging and to actually craft like a story that isn't shot on expensive cameras with expensive lighting equipment and, you know, with like a scene and a director, it's like it is a really interesting challenge that I feel like at the end of the day, Caleb and I were like, what's something fun we could go do that's most likely fun to watch? Like, we're gonna go skate, or we're gonna go drive to the coast and like try to find some waves to go surf, or we're gonna, I don't know, go run around this park, or we're gonna ride these one wheels and like crash into each other. Like something that we actually thought was fun and that we would want to watch. So we like started there and then just integrated whatever learning. Like, we're going to teach you the 180-degree rule of, you know, and why you need to care about your shutter speed. And then we just, like, go do something fun.
I feel like that goes to show how powerful the vlogs were, though, because I think that's what convinced me that the two of you started Moment in the first place, is like seeing you guys like goof around on the Moment channel. Like, hey, also we have this new product. I'm like, wow, they are so good at designing lenses for phones. Like, I wonder, like, what's their background? Like, are they engineers? Like, how do they? That's so cool that they're making all of this stuff themselves. But it's like so like persuasive to see your personalities on camera in combination with the stuff that you were making.
Yeah, it also shows that we were just super self-centered and like didn't show anyone else at Moment. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think for us, because it was all filmmaking gear, it was like stuff we understood. Like, could I make a lens? Could I design a lens? No, but do I understand how to use lenses, and do I understand how to get the best footage from my phone? It's like, yeah, that stuff makes sense to me. So it's like, I think there was some knowledge there that we were able to bring to it.
For sure.
Yeah, the timing worked well too, because that was the time when YouTube, when everyone was vlogging. Now it's like there's way less vloggers, I'd say. Maybe there are, but there's not really in the tech space. But everyone was vlogging at the time. Casey Neistat was killing it, and just like all the people were vlogging. So it really worked for that time period. Was that like 2018 for the style of content we made. So we kind of just rode that wave, dude. No worries.
And then oh, it's so good, so sick.
It is sick.
I think also there was no other company really doing that yet. I feel like in terms of at least from my standpoint, I could be wrong. Maybe there was some company kind of crushing it, but yeah, there was no company that was just being very human, being very honest, just being real. Like, here's a couple dudes that are just gonna run around and try to shoot cool stuff on their phones or talk about a new filter or what have you. So I think because it was so new and different, I think people attached onto it quickly. I think now it'd be harder. Like, I think because the bar was kind of low back then, like Caleb and I could just do whatever we wanted, and as long as we filmed it and had fun, most likely that fun was going to translate to the viewer and they were going to have fun too, right? Now I feel like the production quality of stuff is so much higher. Like I'm looking at like a Colin and Samir video, a Johnny Harris video. Like these are TV shows. Like these are things that take people weeks to make, that I think Caleb and I are still kind of in the boat of like, just keep it crusty. Like I think like literally
always.
when in doubt,
Always,
it's like, dude, what should we do? And it's like, dude, just keep it crusty. Like no worries. Like just keep it as haggard as it can be, because that's what works for us.
Yeah, some people just have like you're saying, like a knack for making stuff look good pretty, not easily. Like they put a lot of work into it, but that's just how their brain works. And I feel like I would always be fighting that, because I like the more like crusty analog, just like more raw vlog feel. So I'm sure if it wasn't me on camera, I could be behind a camera and I'd love to like make something pretty. But at the end of the day, like I'm definitely not going to be doing what everyone's doing just to copy the trend when it's not going to look that good, or it's going to be like a lot of effort.
Well, I think it's really interesting for a lot of people to kind of look at your perspective. And I think a lot of people look at YouTube or content creation and just assume, I have to do it all on my own. Like I have to start with my own brand, my own channel, my own thing. And to see a company like Moment take a gamble on creators like you guys, and then just like have tons of success with that model. So much so, seeing now that there are new content creators coming in the scene, you know, like, and I'm seeing Moment pop up on TikTok now and like all these other places, and seeing the growth from afar. It's just really cool. And I think a lot of people find encouragement being like, oh, that's a different avenue. Like I don't have to be on a film set. I could potentially work for a brand that does content creation like this, or I could like put that in someone's ear, be like, hey, I could be this person for you, you know, if they really like that brand.
Yeah, totally.
What does that transition look like recently? Because Caleb, you're doing a lot more of the content side of things now, and Niles, you're doing more of the education, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so at some point, I mean, basically it was when we got pregnant with our first, our daughter, who's now a little over 2. Basically it was like, okay, I have to move back home. Like we're going to go back home, be around family, be around friends. So that was kind of, I think like a natural segue into like new things at Moment. That was like, 2.5 years in, and I was still on the channel for a while, but it was, there's just new things happening at Moment. You kind of want to grow in your career. Like I love being a quote unquote host. That's what we call the Moment. Like you're a host. And Caleb and I mean, like going and running around making videos with Caleb is like probably the coolest job I'll ever have, But at some point, it's just like a natural progression of like Caleb then running the content team and like being in charge of YouTube, and like where does Niles go? And we kind of found an avenue of like, just with a traditional background in filmmaking and having some experience there, and also understanding the talking to camera side and teaching side, then it kind of made sense to go lead a team that just focused on making educational content.
But to be clear, it wasn't our decision to be like, hey, Niles, just because you moved, you should do something else. It was that the team at Moment wanted to go and make these like digital lessons, and they needed someone to lead it, because that's like, we only have a team of, at the time it was less than 40. When I say that, it's mostly engineers and developers anyways making our stuff. Like the content team and the designers are less, but out of 3 or 4 of us that could have done that job, it was like Niles made the most sense to roll with that, because we didn't want to hire a new person. So just that's how it goes with these small companies. You move around and adapt in so many areas, and you might work there for a year or 2 and go back. Like Niles might come back and go more full-time on YouTube, but at the time it was like, it's essentially, we're just trying to make revenue for Moment. So like if him staying on the channel made us more revenue than him leading and actually getting these lessons to happen, or digital goods, it is a lot more, it's better for the company to go that way. So
totally. Yeah. I mean, I think my kind of pipe dream with Moment is to like stay on this kind of educational pro side, making products for professional creatives, onboarding things they already sell, trips and lessons and actual physical products. All that stuff is so cool. But then kind of coming full circle to then in like 2 years, it's like me and Caleb are just back on the channel having fun again, because it's like I love working hard and I love building Moment with this team. I think the team is great. I believe in kind of the Mark mission. Like he works harder than anyone, and it's like following his lead I enjoy. But I think at some point it's like Caleb would always say, and I always talk about, dude, like if it's not fun, then like why are we doing it? So at some point I do just want my job to be like really fun again versus having all these revenue goals and having all this stuff attached to it that is fun but also stressful. And when I think about what my job used to be, of just like Caleb and I would go ride in his van and go do whatever the frick we wanted. Like that was
they
my
get
thing.
it, dude. They get it.
That was my job. So it's like I think one day I'd like to get back there just because it sounds fun, and I do enjoy that, like the hosting side. Like I went from loathing speaking to the camera to now like really looking forward to it. So that's been an interesting journey in and of itself.
We're just some washed up YouTubers now.
Well, that's what's kind of funny. Well, that's kind of why I want to do it, because it's like I'm 31, so that'd put me me and Caleb are pretty much the same age. That would put us both at like 33, and just a couple of 33-year-olds running around on YouTube. Like that is so funny. I don't know why.
As of late though, I've seen some awesome like older creators, as in not like the creators in that like TikTok pop bubble, but they're like these old dudes who like review tools, or like they're doing something else, but they're making consistent content, and I'm like, oh, I see. This can keep going. I just need to not focus on this like tech hype that I'm not a part of, and I just need to make some sick, like, good running, inspirational, like, I don't know, like,
or your gardening channel. He's always talking about starting a gardening channel, which I thought would be hilarious.
We just planted our garden again for this spring, so second year. I'm super new, so it's a sophomore year of gardening.
Sophomore year of gardening.
That's so good. But yeah, I mean, I think one cool outlet for us is Dad Strides. That's kind of why we started it. One, because for me, it just serves as like, I have to go run because now I have a podcast about running. And if I don't run, I truly have nothing to talk about. And I have to tell every listener.
After like 3 weeks in, that happened.
What?
After like three weeks into the podcast, you kind of stopped running. Like you ran like once a week. And then when you got back on the horse, you had so much more to talk about.
Yeah, no, it's true. So it's funny because like you're literally telling every listener, hey, I've actually stopped doing the thing that I'm supposed to be talking about. So there is this accountability of like to these, however many hundreds of people listen to the podcast. And now I've gotten to the point where I'm fully bought in. Like between running and surfing was always top priority. And now it's actually kind of 50-50. Like if the waves are really good, then I'm going to do both, and if the waves are bad, then I'm just going to run. Like that's kind of where I'm at. But it's fun because Caleb and I still get to collaborate on something that we think is super goofy. It's something that we get to kind of own and just laugh about all the time. And it's called Dad Strides. I mean, it's like it's the least we couldn't like. We just don't take ourselves seriously as people, and not in like a bad way. Just in like we're just a couple silly dudes who want to have fun and like hang out with their family and like go do stuff that we enjoy, and
in a bad boy way.
Yeah, but kind of with like a tinge of being bad boys because that's just who we are.
For sure, dude.
That doesn't make any sense. I was like thinking like what that actually means, and I'm like that means nothing. Like what is?
Like I'm a dad, but I'm a bad boy, dude. What up?
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're just trying to be bad boys, and no. But yeah, so that was kind of the reason we started Dad Strides, and now it's kind of this thing that I think we'll just keep doing. Like even if it isn't really like quote unquote successful, which I don't even think we've defined that for ourselves. Like what is a successful podcast for us? I think for us it's just doing it and running and like getting faster. And I think we are getting faster. I mean, not like Eric Floberg fast, not like Floberg runs fast, but like pretty fast.
Yeah, okay. Well, Caleb is definitely faster than me, so
I was gonna say maybe Caleb, but this dad over here, very slow.
Okay, I have a few things to say about all this. First of all, love the pod. Like I literally don't listen to any other podcasts, which is it's funny. Like
and that's why he wanted to start
podcast
one.
with Steve.
Yeah.
But yours is literally the only other one I listen to. And it's just hysterical to me when I'm literally training in the middle of a run, laughing out loud in the city of Chicago, just passing random strangers, laughing out loud at the things you guys say.
Wow.
It's phenomenal. It's so fun. And whether or not you guys want it to become a business or whatever, clearly right now you're like, okay, yeah, that's a joke. But in all sincerity, like something like that could blossom into whatever a next chapter could be into, you know, your 40s, even if that's something that you wanted to keep doing, which is a crazy thought. But
I know, yeah. Like one being 40, what? Like I'm gonna be that old one day? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I have a deathly fear of getting older. Caleb like has always channeled the personality of like a 42-year-old man with a mustache, and I've always channeled like this 19-year-old little grom
Frat boy.
who like still wants to be cool.
Say it
Like
how
that,
it
you
is,
know?
dude. Frat boy.
Yeah, exactly.
but it's just cool to even see you guys, like you started a Patreon, like you're getting some funding for it. You have Mall Grab Coffee and like a sponsor, quote unquote, you know,
Quote
but
unquote,
it's like,
yeah.
it's goofy and it's funny, but like those are actual steps into like actually making something, you know, and
Totally.
finding some sort of revenue, whether that's silly or not. Like I just think it's really cool to follow things that you're passionate about while you have
Yeah.
something substantial work-wise like running in the background.
Yeah.
And yeah, at the end of the day, like whenever I listen to you guys, it is different. That component of like you guys being employed by someone else and still being creators. Whenever I hear you guys talk about it, it feels very different than, you know, what we do with our, like, we have to figure out where the revenue is coming from with our own personal brand. Like we have to figure out all that stuff. And that's a different kind of stress. I think both of our stresses they're pretty equal. Like I hear you guys talking about, you know, especially Niles, like how much you travel and like even like Caleb, you know, having to edit the podcast and like all that stuff. Yeah, it's just I forgot where I was going with
No,
that.
yeah. I think you're right, though. It's a different stress level because I feel like because Niles freelanced for a bit, and this was a while ago now, and so did I, but it was like, you do get to make all the decisions yourself. We're technically still employees, so it's like we're working really hard and wanted to do our job the best, but at the end of the day, it's like we can't make every single decision, and it like there's certain decisions that are made that I'd be like, I wouldn't post that or that many times a week or do this or that.
Yeah.
When you're your own boss, you essentially can make all those decisions, which is like a weird amount of freedom that I kind of didn't realize when I became like an employee, which we have a ton of creative freedom for sure at Moment. But at the end of the day, it's still just like, I want to be the best employee I can be. And so whatever role I get tossed into, I'm going to try my best. And hopefully it does well for the company.
Yeah.
But there was a sense of freedom in that because it was like, if a video flops, like that doesn't actually directly affect like my like my
your
monetization.
Kush salary, dude. Your Kush salary.
But it's true. It's like if someone wants to put out a video and it kind of tanks, like that hurts their revenue overall. That hurts maybe their next Squarespace sponsorship. Hey, this video didn't do that well. It maybe hurts their how much money they make off ads, whatever. And I've always kind of felt like this is kind of weird. But when we would go to these events, like these tech events, it's like we're hanging out with people who are quote unquote like real YouTubers. Like Caleb and I were, but it was also like we're getting paid by a brand to do this. Yeah. So I'd be talking to like Sarah Dici or someone, and it's like the problems that she was facing and other people were facing, like we never had to cross, and the problems that we're facing are completely different. And I always kind of felt like a wolf in sheep's clothing in some way because it's like we're the brand that like a lot of brands are just paying these creators, and we've actually just become friends with them. So it's like I almost felt like this kind of weird like playing both sides a little bit. So there's always like a little bit of not like guilt, but of like I shouldn't be here because it actually doesn't affect me. Like my video, like whether me and Caleb make it really, really good or spend an extra couple days on it, like doesn't actually really affect us. You know,
But,
and that was always a weird thing to me.
Yeah, but we also like will work super hard to make a great video, and like you don't see that. Like if a creator is getting a $5,000-$10,000 paycheck on a sick project, we don't get that.
So so then there's the flip side. You see the success, and you're like, well, if me and Caleb had our own channel with 500,000 subs, we would probably be making a lot more than what we do at Moment. But we never had to grind all those years of making nothing to get there.
Exactly.
Sure.
I remember what I was kind of getting back to is like I see patterns in your guys' life of things that I don't feel like I have any kind of hobby outside of running. And I see you guys gardening, and Caleb, I see you playing like with your family and the dogs, and Niles, like you're surfing and you're trapping 7 kids on a trampoline and like trying to babysit a whole army of children, which I assume are your friends' kids. I kind of see some of that and I go, man, like, do I need to work for someone to have that kind of flexibility? And I think a lot of me recently is going like, okay, I'm entering this new phase of life of just being like, I need to create that for myself. I need to create that time for myself. So I'm not just grinding away all the time, because it's really easy to default to that, and I don't want that for my life, you know?
And when you work for yourself, it's like no one's telling you when to work and like when you can be off, right?
Yeah.
And when things are not going well, there's always the pressure to find the next gig. Like when I was freelance, people I think kind of romanticize freelance. If it works, I don't think there's anything better. Like if you're paid to make stuff that you love and are able to kind of dictate your schedule, like that sounds like the best thing ever. Yeah. But I think for me, the amount of work I was going to have to put to get there, of like, you're going to do all these jobs that either one, pay well that you hate, like some sort of corporate gig or something that you don't want to shoot, or two, it doesn't pay you anything, but it's like this super fun creative project. Like I'd never found where those two met. And I think for me, I kind of realized like I can go work for a company like Moment that's super fun and that I would love as a freelance client, and just kind of consider them almost like my permanent freelance client in a way, where I'm just always working for them, and then not have to worry about, you know, taking on someone new that is something I just don't really care to do. I've always had a really hard time faking it. Like I got started in the wedding industry and very quickly I just got so burnt out. It was like the thing that I wish I loved that I never could find a way to love. And I found myself being like very jaded at these weddings, and people just don't deserve that. This is the best day of their life. So for me to have a bad attitude, which is so unfair. So that's kind of why I stepped away from weddings really early. But I've never been able to kind of fake it. Like I just, like if my passion isn't there, like I have a really hard time of like making it good. So I think freelance for me, just that never really worked out for that reason, because it was like if money was tight, I was just working through the night, sending out emails, calling people, texting people, trying to figure out how to make it work. And then the minute I got the job at Moment, like stress just kind of left my life in a lot of ways. But I think for some people who like once you get over the hump, I think like you're kind of set, you know, like there are some directors that from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, they just get paid to make whatever they want to make, and it's so good. Like how is it so good, you know? And it's like that's seemingly like the best case scenario. I just don't know how you get there.
Yeah, I think too, we definitely have a little bit of that West Coast mindset where we've embraced it to the point of like maybe a fault, but like shock on my bro, dude, mahalo. Like,
oh my gosh, it's terrible.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude. I don't know. Yeah, there's like just life's crazy. There's so much. I'm always coming at life with just like a very thankful attitude, and like every day. I've had in the last couple of years, a couple of like friends pass away from like serious stuff. One was like suicide from depression, and just like stuff that kind of shakes you up a little bit. And both being, Niles and I are both Christian, but just going from that of like, I'm so grateful for like, you know, everything that's hard, I think is like in a way, I think it should be hard. Like having a kid and all this, the pain and that comes with that. It's like, it's going to be hard, but that's why you're sacrificing your time, because like running, I'm sacrificing a lot of my time because I care about it. And yeah, that's a bit selfish, but like, I feel like I need that because I also work pretty hard. And I think there's
I also feel like your family needs that. Like I was talking with a dad on a run. We went on a long run with a dad. And I don't know why I said dad so much. Yeah. So I was running with this other dad. It was freaking sick. Let me tell you all about it.
What's your podcast called, dude?
Yeah, it's called Dad Strides. You guys should sub. No worries. No, but we were kind of talking, and it was like we're at the point where like I have a daughter, I have a son. I want them to look up to me, right? Like I want to set an example for them in terms of like how character, my faith, like my activities, and one thing is just discipline. Like I was a very undisciplined youth. And that's always kind of been my biggest regret. Like I was a piece of crap for most of my life. Total rebel punk, like just getting into the wrong stuff. And, you know, and I think for me, it's like, I just never, you know, parents were split up, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'll save you the sob story of my childhood. But basically it was like, I just never had that kind of like, this is what this looks like. And for my kids, like running is actually this thing. It's like, oh, like I know my dad puts in 8 hours a week to like make himself better at something. Or I know my dad like spends this amount of time reading his Bible to like do this, or I know my dad goes and surfs because like that's how he relieves his stress, or something like that, where it's like my kids can see me working hard in something, and that's kind of an example for them to work hard in something, if that makes sense.
Totally. And that's
Yeah.
that's where really the real truth is unveiled outside of just your goofiness. Like, you guys do have intention with the stuff you do that is like incredibly wholesome and really, really cool and unique.
Yeah, I'm convinced life is just too short, and
Yeah.
like, not every day. Like, I have so many lazy days, but it's like I want to do something every day because there's so much to experience on this planet, and like with people that I like, and yeah, every day is not going to be easy, but I feel like I can at least be like grateful to be around.
Yeah, I feel like for us, like there is depth to what we do, but at the end of the day, when we're doing it, we're just like giggling the whole time, right? It's just like it's just, it's like
great.
It's like there's serious intention. It's like, yes, I want to live my life with purpose, but also like how silly can we be right now, or like how it's like, I mean, it's true. It's just we're just out here having fun because
Is that cringy, dude? I think we're kind of cringy.
I mean, maybe a little bit. I don't know, but hey,
You're the opposite of cringy. Everyone looks at you guys as the coolest dads on planet Earth.
Oh, whatever, dude.
No way.
Something I wanted to ask Steven, actually, kind of jumping back a little bit. Steven, you're kind of in this middle zone right now of being fully self-employed, but now starting to do some like editing for me and my brand and that kind of stuff. How do you kind of feel in that situation, kind of balancing both worlds? Where like you're doing some commercial video work now, you're doing some editing for me. How does that feel for you in business? And then how does it also affect your personal life? I know we're both coming off of like 2 pretty stressed out weeks. Yeah.
No, for sure. I kind of calling back to what Niles was saying about almost like having the stress relieved by having some stability in the form of moment for him, and almost treating it as if it's like this permanent freelance client kind of thing. I don't know. It's almost the same like kind of feeling. Like it's in the same ballpark, if you will. It's got like that kind of like the stability of like, hey, Eric needs some help on this, that, the other project or whatever it is, and I can count on that work, and that's great. Like that's something I don't have to drum up for myself, and I can improve my abilities as an editor, as a filmmaker in the process, so that when I go out and get my own clients in that realm, I can deliver better work for them also. So it's kind of like this like very beneficial thing to be doing together, where it saves you time, it takes something off of your plate, it helps me improve as just an artist, and it's like money that I don't have to drum up on my own, which feels fantastic, honestly. Like it's very relieving in certain times and certain like, coming out of years like 2020 and even going into 2021, things are already like packed wall to wall with client work, which is awesome. But there's a lot of stuff going on right now. There's a lot of projects that we're working on, Rally Caps being one of them. So there's like not a shortage of stuff to be doing, but it's especially nice to have actual paying work to be doing, because Rally Caps doesn't make us a dime. So like, it feels good to have, you still have to pay the bills also. And to be able to do that with you in such a way that like you trust me wholeheartedly, which I still am very flattered by. So it doesn't feel like I'm like, oh, I love you, man. Love you forever.
I love you
So
guys.
I love you.
I don't
Bring
know.
you guys into the fold.
I don't know if
That's
I
what
love
we
all
say.
of you yet, but maybe one day we can get there.
You love me, Niles?
Of course, my dude. Dude, all day, bro.
That's what I'm going to keep working towards. That's just going to be my next career goal, is to get Niles to tell me he loves me.
Yeah.
No, that's great insight, Steven. It's really good to hear. The other thing I was thinking is you just buy the dip on Doge, and that's how you that's how you make
send
your
it on
money
a little
these days.
GME, just
Yeah, which like Steven profited on GME like mad.
Oh, there
Yeah,
you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's funny about
I got some of that, and I got some Doge, but I only made a little. Luckily, yeah, we can talk about that later.
Yeah. The dip ate Caleb, but then he got it back.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
I tripped into a ditch.
Yeah. I was actually, so I went to get my first vaccine yesterday, and I was like, oh, babe, what's this like empty building right here next to CVS? And she goes, oh, that was a GameStop. And I was like, oh, interesting. It like really came full circle of like, oh, wow, they are just being fully gutted. And it's a really big building, so I understand why they're not there anymore. But yeah, it made me think of that. So I haven't really ventured into, the get rich quick of these kind of stonk games.
These memes.
Yeah, these meme stocks. Just because we bought a place to live in July, and living in Southern California is very expensive, which is why I'm currently working out of my garage and not out of a little studio, because I got rid of my studio to help with that mortgage. But dude,
yeah, baby.
I did do a little refinance after we talked to Eric on our podcast a little bit ago. Yeah, so I'm rocking some savings there. But yeah, I think like just I didn't have the expendable income because it's like I never wanted to put in, and like I wanted to put in if I lost it that I wouldn't miss it, right? Like if I lost X amount, then I wouldn't be like screwed and like my family can't eat that week or something. And I just, being in this phase of life right now with a mortgage and just had our second baby, it's like that doesn't really exist. But I definitely had some FOMO. I mean, on Twitter, it's like, how do you not have FOMO, right? And so like people are posting screenshots of their portfolio, and it's like this just meteoric numbers. They might go down any second, but it was pretty wild.
Super interesting. We promised ourselves that we would we started a Patreon as well, so we promised ourselves that we would do an ad break for it. So
perfect. Yeah.
That's what we're doing right now. Wait, can you give us Patreon advice? Because we don't have any patrons yet, and you guys have like, what, 10 now?
Dude, we have 10. We're blessed with, we have 10 patrons. We don't know how we got them, but we've just said it on the podcast a couple times. But mine and Niles' whole thing is like, we're not trying to make money. We're really not trying to make money with this. We just want to do it. But I feel like that little bit, we don't want to lie to ourselves, that little bit of motivation where you can get a few bucks. It's like, that does help us sit down and record and edit it every week. Yep. And again, we have jobs. We don't need the money, but it's like, hey, let's just open this up. People are honestly down. People that can get behind and want to be a part of something and have an extra $5 a month, they're down. I give to like a couple patrons just because like these like creators that I'm like, I watch their content every week. I watch like a lot of really fringe YouTube. My wife and I love like
you do
odd YouTube.
You watch the fringiest YouTube ever.
Yeah. Anyways, all that to say, so Patreon, we're having our first we don't have enough time to like do too many incentives. So it's just more just like, hey, help us create the pod as like, we thank you for like kind of, you are actually helping us motivate to keep making it. And then once a month, we're going to do a live hangout.
Yeah,
so,
we really only have, we're really the whole pitch was like, if you just want to give us your money and support us,
here's a spot for it.
Like, here's a spot to do that.
I want to do, eventually we want to do like, I want to take the GoPro on some like runs, some like trail runs this summer and do like exclusive patrons, like vlogs if they want to watch me go run through the trails. Would be fun too. And I would actually enjoy having them.
For running, I'm just not sure what the give is. Because like for a lot of filmmaking and creative stuff, it's like, here's the behind the scenes of how I make what I make, which is really interesting. Like Johnny Harris is a YouTuber I love, and like his Patreon is just like how he makes his maps, how he makes his graphics, how he makes his scripts. There's a very clear linear path to like breaking down each aspect of his process. But for running, it's like I am not a physiologist. I am not a professional runner. Like I played soccer in high school. Like that's like my, so it's like, what am I supposed to teach people about running? It's like just my own experience. And Caleb,
how to stay core, dude. How to get pitted on your runs.
So it's like, what do we actually give people for incentives? And I think it'd be fun to do like goofy dad strides like workout videos. It's like imagining like us like in like blue jeans and like a fake mullet, and then like we're actually doing a workout routine that like might be really good for you, but it might not. Like it's not medical advice kind of thing. But it's just a time thing for us. It's like, when am I gonna do that, right? So eventually I think we'll start adding some incentives, but we have some funny ideas that maybe we'll do one day.
I want to make merch too still. Like honestly, just for myself to show up to these races and have a shirt that says Dad Strides on the front. I'm going to literally make one for the race we have coming up. Like with Ariana, my wife has a heat press and used to do some like vinyl press stuff. Nice. I'm going to make one just, unless we get to it before that, Niles.
You got to have one that says just Kush Sal on the front too. You got that.
then like I make A in like really small print. I make a Kush Sal.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You guys gonna hit your ad read?
Oh yeah.
Sick. Sick.
I mean, yeah, we've been doing different just exclusive breakdowns of our episodes after. We used to call it the B-sides, but going with the whole Rally Caps theme, it's now called Extra Innings. So we'll be doing that after every single episode, just kind of breaking down what we thought of, talking to guests, as well as how we pitch guys like these guys here. We released that one to the public of our pitch to you guys, and just kind of how we creatively go about that, as well as Steven will be breaking down kind of how he edits the podcast and little tips and tricks that he finds. So if you want to support us similar to the Dad Striders, or you want to see some exclusive content, more conversations that we have, you can go check it out, and it'll be linked down in the description, as well as these guys' Patreon, if you want to be a Strider as well.
Yeah, I think
Thank you.
our thing was called like "Keep the Stride Alive." Is our
Oh yeah, baby.
yeah.
Stride or die. There we go.
Stride or die.
Ooh, I'm gonna
I
write
like
that
that.
down.
Yeah.
I just got we went to Walmart the other night and I saw all these mechanical pencils on clearance for $1, so I bought them all.
Dude, you gotta turn them into the little cannons. You put a little, you break them and put the little rubber band around them and shoot it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I
gotta teach my
had
daughter
an arms
that.
war. Dude, I had an arms race in freaking 3rd grade with those, just like lining them up with like little BBs too, and like shooting them at people.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You gotta,
Dude, Stride or Die is kind of sick. It's like an ode to It's like an ode to skateboarding, like skate or die,
Yeah, skate or die.
go.
skate and destroy.
We'll send you
Stride
an
or
invoice
die.
for the consultation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steven.
I got a design fee and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
We might have to become patrons now, just to say like we'll just meet in the middle.
No, please don't. No.
Yeah.
If anyone subs to both of our
please don't.
Patreons, you get the official Rally Strides t-shirt or Dad Caps, whichever one is better.
Collab, dude.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Dad caps.
Oh man. Yeah, running has definitely though been like a thing that definitely with COVID and everything has helped.
Yeah.
Just mentally, it's just running is once you're into it. Like seeing Niles get into it, then he caught the bug. Like, Steven, do you
Heck
run?
yeah.
This was going to be my next question, actually.
Okay.
So you guys talk about running so romantically, and Eric has started to get me into it. Just started like back in July is when I bought my first pair of running shoes like ever.
What'd you buy?
get?
What'd you buy?
Yeah,
What'd you buy?
What'd you buy? What'd you buy?
Hoka, come on.
Okay.
I've heard of the clout that they have. I know a little bit of running. I listen to the Dad Strides pod.
Is it
I know what's up.
Clifton Sevens? Rincons?
Rincon 2.
Nice.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I want
Nice.
to try a pair of Clifton 7s though, because
Those are bomb.
You'll be
I've heard-
faster.
I don't know
You'll be
anything and I wanna
faster
try
in the
it.
Rincons though.
Really? Wait,
Yeah,
why
the
is that
Rincons are
though?
light.
I don't
They're
know
lighter.
anything.
I think they're really
Oh,
light.
they are. Okay.
And there's
okay.
I think there's a smaller stack height too, but those are
Yeah,
nice because
not
you
as
can actually,
chunky.
yeah, they're not as
Okay.
chunky, and you can take them on. Not to just go full shoe deep dive, but here I go.
Let's go.
You can like those are really good for like variable terrain. Like if you're gonna be on like some gravel and on some dirt, like in like a
Yep.
park, and then also be
Yep.
on some road. Like I have a neighbor who's a
Oh, yeah.
badass ultra runner mom, and she exclusively runs in the Rincon. Like she loves them. She's got like
No
8
way.
pairs. of
Okay.
them. Yeah, so she just and
Whoa.
she runs trails in a road like every day. So
Okay. So I already have the best shoes. It sounds like that's great.
yeah, you got a good pair of shoes.
The tough part is me enjoying it, and I'm trying to get to that point.
How long?
It's
Niles,
tough.
tell him how long it took.
So I think there's ebbs and flows. Like you feel
Okay.
encouraged, you plateau. You feel encouraged, you plateau. I think I'm actually working on something for Patreon right now that is like a runner's guide. Like basically, I've almost been running for a full year, and here's like the 7 things that I think helped me enjoy it or like keep doing it. I think the only way you enjoy it is by doing it more and more, because you do get
Yeah,
to
okay.
a point where you do start to feel strong, and that runner's high is like a very real thing. Like when you're running at a pace where you feel like I'm not getting tired, and like that's a really empowering feeling, and you just feel
Yeah.
like you just cover ground. Like it's like if you're gonna go run 15 miles, like you realize how far that actually is. Like you're gonna circle almost your entire city most likely. So
And it's really
I
cool
think-
mentally when you start to think of those distances and you're like, how am I even like considering doing this right now? And it doesn't seem like a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. Because I got
And
to
the-
that point, like I was, I think it was back in October. Like I've I've not run almost ever in my life, and it really just started like 7 months ago.
Nice.
Out of nowhere, I just went out. I was expecting to run maybe a mile or two, and I ended up running almost 8.5 miles out of nowhere.
Oh
and
my
I
gosh.
I got home and I called my wife. I was like, babe, you have no idea what I just did. Like it was like the most out of body experience I've ever had. I was
Okay.
like, there's no way this was like physically possible. I haven't gotten
Whoa.
close to that since then. It's been like 2 to 6 at most.
Yeah.
But like that one time made me more confident and like, okay, like maybe I
Wow.
could do something. Like maybe
Yeah.
this could be a thing.
That sounds
I
so
think-
sick.
That is sick. I think one thing that could be helpful is rather than setting a distance goal, setting a time goal. Because like if you think about it, for
Okay.
me, like I'm running like 6 hours a week, maybe. And we have a good friend who is a very good runner, and he basically just runs off of time. So rather than saying I'm going to go run X amount of miles, he says I'm going to go run for an hour. I'm going to go run for 2 hours at any pace. So it's more about
Okay.
the time you put in, and it's more quantifiable in terms of like your relationship with your wife and your kids too. Of like, this is how long this is going to take me. Like I'll be
yeah,
back
that's
in an
true.
hour versus
Yeah.
like, hey babe, I'm gonna go run 8 miles. Oh, I actually got gassed on this hill and ended up doing a different route. Now I'm walking home. Like so many times I'll end up having to walk like a mile and a half home because like I'll end somewhere else because it's like I decided to do a hill or I decided not to do a hill or something.
Yeah.
But I think that can be helpful too, is like just setting a time goal. So like I'm gonna run 2.5 hours this week, and you break that up into chunks.
Okay.
And then you'll realize how much distance you're actually covering there. I think also there's a book by Brendan Leonard. He's at Semirad on Instagram. He basically just has a bunch of funny charts and I think I started following him like way back when, but he's, it's definitely some inspiration for Dad Strides, but it's I hate running and you can too. It's basically like his whole journey of this love-hate relationship with running and how to get started and keep going.
Wait,
I
Niles,
ha-
you know the video I sent you the other day of that, how to run 100 miles or whatever?
I didn't watch it. I didn't
Okay,
watch it.
that's him in it.
Oh,
That's
is it really? Okay, well then
Yeah.
I'll go
Yeah.
watch it now. I'm like a total fanboy. No, he's sick.
All right,
I mean,
I'm
the
into
whole
it now.
idea of like being semi-rad just resonated with me so much because I was living in Montana when I first heard him, and it was like decent skier, like able to do something, ski some terrain, ski some backcountry. But when I'm looking at people who are actually rad, it's like no, I'm not even close, And that's how I feel just in pretty much anything in my life, filmmaking, running, surfing.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're okay. Like you're decent, and like that's probably that's kind of it. So I definitely relate to like the semi-rad mentality. But yeah, I think time goals, getting your clothes on early. It's like if you're gonna go run that day, it's like do your work in your 5-inch shorts and your tank and your shoes, and like so then you're just held accountable to yourself of like, are you really gonna derobe your running clothes to then go sit on the couch and watch Netflix? It's like no, like you can't you gotta wear your clothes. That helps me.
Solid.
But at some point it does become addicting for sure.
It's so cool how the correlations between setting running goals and getting better and falling in love with running, like how applicable it is to so many other facets of your life.
Totally.
With perseverance of, whatever it means with relationships, with taking care of your family, with building a business. Like it's this physical manifestation of so much of the other things that you're doing in your life. And it really helps you form a discipline in those other parts of your life,
Yep.
especially with all the endorphins you get from doing it too. Yeah, so that's one of the biggest reasons I love it, and it's really cool to watch you guys get into it so hard and like actually be consistent. Like you guys have been doing it for a year now, over a year, and I know another rabbit hole is just you guys are training for different things, right? Caleb, I don't know what you're in right now, but I know Niles, you're going for a marathon, right?
Yeah, so I have two. I have a marathon June 6th and then a marathon
Yep.
in October as well. So I have two, and then I'm hoping,
Whoa.
and then hopefully I can. Yeah, look at me go. And then I'm hoping. Yeah, my goal isn't. First one probably is just to finish because I've never ran that far. Second one might have more time correlated with it, but I did feel good talking with Caleb yesterday. I did feel pretty good on my half marathon this past weekend that I ran more at a tempo speed, and I was like, okay, like I think I'll. This is the first time I've been like, okay, I will comfortably be able to, not comfortably, but I will be able to finish a marathon.
Yeah.
I know that now, and now with like 6 weeks left of training, like we'll see if I can actually get a time that I feel is decently competitive for where I'm at. Not in the grand scheme of running a marathon, but where I am at currently.
Yeah.
But I would love to get an ultra on the books, 'cause that's what Caleb is kind of crushing these days. Is just like these bad boy ultra, run through the hills, beat your chest, drink water from the streams. You know, like just,
That's Jesse, dude. That's Jesse
that
Driftwood.
is Jesse. That is.
Jesse Driftwood.
Yeah, follow him on Strava. It's the best Strava account ever.
I think he has 4 followers on Strava, and 2 of them are Caleb and I. Like, it's just it's like the most raw social media
It's
for
so
him, because
good.
he doesn't have a bajillion
and
followers
Eric, you
there.
know Jesse's like barefoot guy,
Yep.
not maximalist cushion. He's like literally running barefoot or in like sandals.
Yeah, those little sandals. It's like I'm going for max stack height, like maybe 2 inches of comfort, and he's going for like I want every rock to hit my
Yeah,
skin.
I
Like,
mean,
that's what he wants.
I read the Born to Run book, and I get it, but I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm training. Dude, that's speaking of running as like it kind of snowballs and you progress. I have never been as strong or as fit in my whole life as I am now, and that feeling is weirdly addicting. And it's definitely, I'll give it most credit to running trails, and now I'm trying to run as much as possible off pavement. Like yesterday, I went hard yesterday because I'm trying to do more of the 80-20 rule. Like run 80% of my runs should be pretty easy, and then 20% hard. So yesterday was a fast day, and like
Oh yeah.
how easily I felt
was
running fast on. But that was on pavement, and like I still had like 500 feet of gain over that 10 miles, and like up the hills, I was like, this hill is nothing compared to
ripping.
running up the mountains. Like it was so mentally like cool, and that feeling is something like I had my first kid, and I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life. Like that is such a dad thing to say, like best shape of my life. Like I ran fast in high school. I did like you were speedier, but like the strength I have and like the stamina now is really cool. So. And I'm nowhere near I want to be. I want to be able to do like my goal is to do some like 100-mile races, and I think that will probably happen. Hopefully next year I'll be able to get to that point. So
He's trying to get me to do it with him, which honestly, there's an 88% chance I do, just because I'm so persuaded by Caleb to do.
Niles
dumb
is down
things.
for a good time.
I am. I just like him generally down to rally. You know, I'm just like, oh, like, should we do this? I'm just like, oh, I don't want to, but like, I totally will, you know? And that's kind of how I feel about a 100-mile race. But a 100-mile race is just like
it's a bad decision, but like when you
so
do,
far.
you always make good memories when you put yourself into really terrible situations.
Yeah,
and I've like, all my best memories are from like stuff where you don't know the outcome necessarily, or you're a little bit apprehensive to do it. Even like a road trip, we've gone down to Baja now twice, my wife and I, and I'm like, I don't know if our van's gonna make it. I don't know like what it's gonna be like. And then I'm like, those are literally our 2 best trips so far, and the memories we made on them. I'm like, you have to take some risks in order to like see anything out. And I'm a huge risk taker, so unfortunately, my wife has to live with that, because I'm always like, even financially, I'm like, I'll take a risk. We can live on rice and beans. But now that we have a kid, I'm like, well, we have to feed the kid now. So
Totally.
yeah. Feed
when we
the
were
kid.
single, though, it was like, well, whatever. I don't care what we do.
It definitely changes things having a family in terms of just like that general responsibility you feel. Like I remember being single and being on a plane, and this is a little morbid, but I was like, dude, if this plane went down right now, like I don't care, like whatever, like it'll like and if I survive, like that'll be sick. And then all of a sudden I got married, and I was like, oh man, it'd be kind of a bummer if this plane went down, because then like Sarah would be alone, and then now that having 2 kids, it's like, okay, I really don't want this plane
Super
to crash,
big
because like
bummer.
that'd be really really shitty if this plane crashed right now and I abandoned my children. It's like funny how like that's like a very weird thing, but that's like how my responsibility like that I've felt over the years.
It's true.
And I think for running, going into that, it is like ultimate stress relief. I think I got into running when I stopped using music. So like I would put in a music and I'd put in a podcast or something and I would go run. And it's basically like, oh, this is so boring. Like how is so boring? Like I need something to like think about or listen to.
Yeah.
And when I actually got rid of music, is when I started to think I actually enjoyed it, because your mind, like when you go run for 2.5 hours, like your mind goes everywhere. Like you think about everything, like all these little sounds, and you're just like so much more aware of your body. And then your mind just wanders to like, you know, things that happened 10 years ago, experiences, like people you haven't talked to in a long time, work stuff. Like a lot of times I just start thinking about just like things I want to make, like film ideas, like who I should call about this. Like your mind just goes so many places, and that ends up being really relaxing because it's like you're able to kind of just process things on your own, and it ends up being kind of like alone time or like a time to like
do you ever
meditate.
do you ever dream about what you're gonna eat after the run? I do that every run pretty much. Like
Oh,
I know
totally.
I have pizza
I
rolls
thought you
in the
meant
freezer.
literally dream. I thought you meant literally dream. I was like, dude, I've never actually literally dreamt
No.
about after a run.
That'll
Yeah.
happen. Oh. Wait, like falling asleep?
Like you're asleep. You're not dreaming about the run. You're dreaming about what you eat after your run. I was like, bro, I'm not there yet, brother. I'm not there yet.
either. That's elite level. No, but on the run, I think about like I get so stoked by like if I haven't had like my second cup of coffee or like an iced coffee, like I'll be like 6 miles in and I'll just be like I'll remember some stupid like I have like a root beer in the fridge or something and I'll be like yeah. Like it's the simple things when you're out, like kind of when you're suffering or like you're kind of tired, but it's so good.
No, I definitely look forward to what I'm gonna eat when I get back, and just the idea of like, oh, I just burned, roughly 1,900 calories. It's like if I want a burger, like that sounds freaking good, and I'm gonna go chow down on that burger.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Running. Well, I can't believe I'm into running. Honestly, it's crazy. I mean, it's like
so cool.
It's like pretty much July of last year is when I went on my like first run, and it was right when we bought this place to live. And I think I was running again for the stress relief of like we have a mortgage now. Like, what if I lose my job? What if Sarah, blah, blah, blah? Like, we're having another kid. Just all those stresses of life. So then it's like I would go run. And sometimes I run really late at night. I call it the dad hours. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but basically it's like, it's 10:30 p.m. and like the kids are asleep, your wife's asleep, no one needs you. And it's like, that's your time to go run for a little while. So the farthest I've ran dad hours is 14 miles and you get home at like 12:30 at night and it's like,
Oh my God.
1 a.m. and it's like, all right, gonna shower and go to bed. But
Eric, where are you?
Gosh.
Oh, sorry, Niles, what were you saying?
Well, those days are gnarly. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't think I'm going to run that far at night because it is just kind of exhausting. It's like you have a full day and then you're doing that.
Yeah.
But it is again, it's just like that alone time, that time to just think about and kind of relieve that stress a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, Eric, where are you at right now with coming back from injury?
Yeah, it's my ankle has still been bothering me. It's getting to the place where like I probably just can't ignore it anymore. Like I need to go get it checked out. But it's still been manageable, like doing, anywhere from 5 to 10. And so I'm going to just do this last kind of push before I go get it checked out, just to see if I can keep strengthening it, because it has gotten better. It's just weird. It just feels kind of unstable.
Is it a ligament or do you know what it is?
I have no idea. It's on the ball of my ankle on my right foot. So yeah, I've like gotten out of shape. I've put weight back on, and it's like so discouraging because I really don't like exercising in any other way. And so that motivation is just gone when I can't like physically make it happen. But yeah, I just keep watching like Kofuzi and Seth James Damore like marathon vlogs and like on repeat. And it's one of the most nostalgic things for me, especially Kofuzi's, because like I was in those races with him.
Oh, cool.
Like I ran Chicago those years, so
Sick.
I'll even listen to them while I run and
nice.
watch them from time to time and just get amped.
That's sick.
But yeah, it's a very special thing. And like for anybody listening right now, it doesn't, running doesn't have to be the thing that like gets you psyched, but like it is really, really cool when you find something like this outside of, creative entrepreneurship or whatever your job looks like in the creative field, to just have something to do that isn't just the grind of work. Obviously with this, with running specifically, the physical health aspect is incredible. But yeah, I think along with these guys, I would encourage you guys to find something like this that gets you that amped or makes you feel that nostalgic or that proud, or a model that could be for your kids or whoever's in your life, Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure.
Man.
Sick. Yeah, dude. I want to see that sub 3 hour marathon still. That's what I'm going.
know.
I'm going for that in October. I
Let's
got a
go.
marathon I'm signed up for, a road one. Hopefully
Where?
one and done. In Leavenworth, Washington. It's kind of up in the
sick.
mountains, but it's on the
Yeah.
roads. But the rest of
Now-
the summer is going to be trails for me.
Now that I'm running longer distances, imagining waves hitting my ankles in the winter while trying to run fast is just like the worst. I mean, if you guys don't realize, Eric basically, I mean, I don't know if you've ever explained this, so went for a sub 3 hour marathon and just got destroyed by the weather. And there's this one shot where it's like the lake is trying to take him away. And he's trying to keep his sub 7 pace through it. And now thinking of that, like how mentally, like, you're at a certain amount of mileage, you have a certain amount of mileage left, you're looking at your watch, you're like checking your pace, and to know that like there's just this freak thing that's stopping you from going that fast is so gnarly. Like that's just such a mental barrier. So
that's an ultra run right there, like river crossings and like that. Yeah.
I feel like when I run ultras though, there's gonna be no time goal. It'll just be like finish and
just
like
finish
and take some sick photos on the way or something. I don't know. But when you're trying to like run a really fast marathon, which sub 7 is, it's like all those little things matter, because then it's like if your leg hurts all of a sudden or your shoes are, because your shoes were soaked obviously, right?
Yeah, like the whole race. Yeah.
So brutal.
Yeah, like the whole freaking race.
Yeah,
Gnarly.
very excited to. I'm waiting to hear back if I am getting into New York this year or next. It's going to be one or the other. So
nice.
By first weekend of November, that would be when I run it this year if I get in, and I'll be trying to send that one. But I'm trying to figure out like, could I get another training block in to like get a June marathon in? I don't really know if I would be doing that one for time. But just to kind of like get back into it a bit more and have something to train for.
Are you still doing like, do you think you'll go back to doing like zone 2 math training, or are you
I'm definitely more of an 80-20. Like I want to do, I'm way more interested in that. That's really kind of what I've been doing all along.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's what I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. Steven's like, I love math.
80,
I
20
love numbers.
It's 100, baby. Come on.
Yeah. Basically, for the listeners, there's just a bunch of training kind of ideologies that people follow, and one is this like low heart rate, only running that. Takes a long time. Apparently, it's guaranteed to work, but you have to like put in months and months and months and months of running super slow to get there.
Looking like a loser, dude.
Yeah, and like you better not have 3-inch shorts on, because like you're gonna get made fun of. Like if you're doing a math training, like you're running 7-inch shorts. They need
Have
to be
fun
more
walking
basketball
and walking up hills.
Yeah,
Like I don't. It's not running. Just kidding. I love hating on certain.
Caleb said
things.
it like he doesn't want to do math. I agree with this. I don't want to just. It's life is too short to do the math method. Just like to commit to that and run slow all the time. It doesn't. It just doesn't sound fun.
I don't know. That sounds pretty compelling to me over here.
No, but
Steven's like, I love math, dude.
This is slow sounds great, actually.
I would say I'm more interested in math than these two, because these two are already pretty fast. So like once you have the speed and the endurance, it's like you don't really need math anymore. Like I would say Caleb and Eric don't need math. For me, it was like if I had math early, I might have done it, or like known what it was. And for you, it's kind of like you stay in a zone 2. You let your legs get stronger. You let your ligaments and bones get used to running more and the impact, and then you can start going faster. It's basically a way to start getting in shape and then not get injured, because everyone tries to run
Niles,
fast.
their listeners don't care, dude.
I know it's so true.
I love this.
I'm like, so
tangent.
this week on Dad Strides,
Yeah, this is not our podcast.
No, that's good, man.
We've just segued into the Dad Strides portion of this episode. That's all this is.
Yeah.
So if you want more of this, you can head on over to wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah, we'll just have Steven cut out this portion of the podcast and send it to you guys. So this is your next episode.
Just half of it's done.
Teaching an idiot to run. What we learned.
Yeah.
I love it.
But yeah, I mean, we've been jamming for over an hour. We don't want to take much more of your time, guys, but really appreciate you jumping on and talking all things moment and and all that good stuff. It's just super fun to. I don't think I ever dreamed of like having a relationship with you guys ever. Like seeing you in the early days of all that moment stuff. I was like totally held you guys up on a pedestal. It's just really cool to like have conversations.
Back at you, dude.
I know, it's so funny to hear that, because like Caleb and I could not see ourselves less on a pedestal. Like we are, we're in the gutter constantly.
Yeah.
And I feel like the first time I ever saw Eric was in Mango Street's Myth film. And it was
Yeah.
like, I was like, who's this guy? He actually seems like he's kind of funny. Like, oh, he's funny. Like, he's doing this, and it's like he's being funny in this video. And then you were just there, and we met you. And I was like, this guy
Eric
is
did it,
funny
and we went
IRL.
out to dinner, right? At that
Yeah.
cool restaurant in New York.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Gosh, I want to link up at some point. Like, I've always kind of talked about it would be really fun to get like Dad Strides running camp somewhere beautiful in Washington and just
Oh, I
post
want
about
it
it,
so badly.
Airbnb or a cabin, and we just go on like 2-a-days or one a day, like go for runs and hang out and just like catch up.
It
But
sounds so fun.
I know I'm down if like we can get the spot for wife and kids. Would be fun to just have everyone, honestly. But I don't know. We could maybe do it at some point. Maybe
Yeah,
do like
I
a
think
few days with just dad runners, and then a few family friends, or like us and our families could be cool.
Totally.
It makes us think like I would love to do just like a kickball or like a little wiffle ball, like
Wiffle
weekend or
ball,
something
dude.
for rally caps.
Yeah, we should.
That'd be
though.
super fun too.
That
be
is
cool.
funny.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. Well, thank
But
you so
yeah,
much for
good
having
stuff.
us. It was an
Yeah,
honor
of
to be
course.
on. And Steven, good luck editing all of our nonsense.
Yeah.
And
That's
don't
gonna be easy. I'm not cutting anything, so
yeah, you're just gonna freaking export it all out direct. I love it.
yeah.
Heck yeah.
Sometimes we do that with Dad Strides, so I respect it.
Just leave it in. We always
There's
yeah,
no
we have
way-
a running joke of like cut it out and post and never do.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Me and Caleb actually had the conversation, not to keep talking, but we always do this too. We were like, do people edit their podcasts? Like, are people cutting a substantial portion? Because we don't. We maybe
not
cut
worth
like
it.
8 seconds of the
Yep.
Yeah.
39 minutes that we recorded.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
I think I only cut something if like an internet connection drops and we're like we just
Yeah.
have to reset real quick and
Yes.
that's it, which is fantastic. It makes it a lot easier for sure. Or
My
if you just have
my
guys like
my
you guys.
camcorder just died. So
Perfect place to end.
Like, that's just so funny.
I'm gonna text you guys this thing. This looks like straight from like 2001. Look at this, dude. I'm gonna send this in a text.
Yeah, you sent us a photo beforehand. What does it say? Dad Camp 3000 or something?
Yeah, but look
so
at it on
stupid.
it. Look at it on the little tripod, dude. I love it's coming.
Oh my
Slow internet.
So rad.
awesome.
Yeah. And it's on like a $500 tripod, like Peak Design carbon fiber, like the sickest tripod you can get.
And then Dad Cam 3000.
And then the Dad Cam 3K.
That's
I'm honestly
amazing.
sorry how bad the footage will look. So if you're listening to this and seeing some of the posts or online, the footage is great. Shout out
Super
to
sick.
Sony. I don't even know what kind of camera it is. I got on eBay.
Cool, guys.
Cool.
Have a
All
great
right,
rest of your
yeah.
day.
Thanks again, guys.
Yep.
Keep it up,
Take
guys.
Take care.
Bye.
You too. Later.